Hello YouTube and welcome to another GrunfWorks tutorial, this time on docking. So yes, today I'll be showing you how to dock for beginners. This is the space station in 100-kilometer orbit that I will be showing you how to dock to. And as you can see, it has multiple docking ports. So that will be our target for today. And our craft for today will be this one. This is a modified version of Kerbal X that has RCS fuel and RCS, with Jeb, Bill and Bob in the pilot seat. Okay, now we're gonna start. So, let's select the set as the target, the Kerbal Orbital station. Let's get... you have to click and select it as a target. You have to get it into the rough position where you want to have it for the launch. So that would be roughly somewhere around here where I'm holding the marker. Kinda-ish. Okay, so throttle to max, stability, and let's kick it. As you know, the Kerbal X has asparagus staging, which means that the fuel tanks are dumped in pairs. So, come on. There we go. First pair. In case you haven't seen my tutorial on how to get into orbit, please do check it out. It's within the same playlist, and the second one will basically help you to get to the moon and return safely. Second pair gone, and now we're going for the third pair. Bob is happy and Jeb and Bill are serious. Nah, just kidding. Okay, let's dump this final two fuel tanks. There we go. And now let's check how our approach looks like. Our apoapsis is climbing, which is good. The orbital station is coming, for sure. So we are just gently raising our apoapsis, and hopefully where the apoapsis meets the plane of the orbital station, that's the roughly place where we should hopefully rendezvous. I mean, if we don't, it's not really a big deal. We can always tweak it a little bit later. Now, right-clicking on the apoapsis, you will have it permanently visible so that you know what your apoapsis is. And I'm gonna keep mine around 100-ish. So let's see, and here you go, you can see the encounter, and there we go, perfect. I do have a fairly decent encounter here, but I'm still gonna burn at the apoapsis because I do want to first get into the orbit, and then I'll perform the orbital rendezvous. So, tweaking a little bit this rendezvous. By the way, as you can see some orange arrows here and there and purple. Those are telling you at which point do we have a close approach between the two craft. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna keep this one as is. And then I'm gonna be doing the burn. We have a good approach where we have the pink marker, so we're gonna focus on that one. So the orange and the pink marker show the potential candidates for near miss or approach, call it whatever you want. Now, we are burning for the orbital insertion. Which basically just means points the rocket, maneuver prograde, and burn. And to get us to orbit, or roughly to this desired orbit that we want, we need 1470 meters per second of delta V. In case you didn't follow, delta V is amount of the change in velocity that you can execute by burning fuel, clearly. Now, and we are approaching the burn. T minus 30 should be our mark when we will start burning. There we go. Burning, and I'm kind of hoping that will secure us a nice encounter. Okay, and let's just now kill the maneuver node. There we go. We have a fairly decent encounter. Target position. So I will be tweaking the maneuver node. By the way, we have spent all of our delta V, so we need it to stage. Ah, it's reducing the separation. Perfect. Oh, and we lost the encounter. Okay, so what I will do, I will burn a little bit retrograde, and that will... Oh, no, we have the encounter here. 45 kilometer separation. I think that's good enough. Now let's switch to the target. You do that by clicking in the green text that said orbit, and that gives you target relative velocity, because as you can see, we are rather close to the station, and we are going in the higher orbit, which means, and higher orbit, guys, is slower, meaning that the station will be catching up to us because it's in lower orbit, so the station is faster than us. So that is why the station is kind of chasing us. The goal of the rendezvous is that both our craft and our station end up at the same point in space. So let's see if we get close. At that point, when we come to close to our encounter, we will want to be burning directly for the target, and I'll be showing you how to do that. So, what you want to do now is identify first where your target is, and you can see it by a little bit those brackets over there. So this pink marker is target prograde. So I will be burning roughly here-ish when we get a little bit closer. In order to set our target relative velocity. So you see that I'm pointing towards the pink target, and the goal of the next couple of minutes will be to drag yellow prograde marker of our craft on top of the pink prograde marker of that station. Yes. I was just here attempting the maneuver node, and sometimes it's actually much more fuel efficient to wait for another orbit and just do a small puff here to ensure much better encounter. And I've noticed when I started to burn, my relative velocity is 140 meters per second. I really didn't want to expand that much. So T minus T, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Perfect. And I guess so then I will be waiting for the next orbit. Well, this tutorial proves to be a little bit more difficult than I originally anticipated, but then again, I'm a little bit rusty without all the mods, so yeah, but that's the point. Let's learn how to do it. The orange marker now shows us a very good encounter, meaning that we will end up at the same point in space, because the top and the bottom will align. So that means, I guess, it will be rather simple. There we go. Let's align 2.8 kilometers is the separation. As you can see, now our target velocity, relative velocity, is only 20 meters per second, meaning it's much more fuel efficient to burn now directly for the target. And we will be significantly closer. So if you're on a budget, do factor that in. So if you're low on fuel, sometimes an extra orbit can give you much better results. Right. Okay, now same procedure. Point to the target and burn. And as you can see now, the yellow marker is coming nicely on top of the pink marker. Now our relative velocity is 65 meters per second. That's very high. So what I'll do now, I'm going to line retrograde markers. So as you can see, I'm pushing the retrograde marker, the yellow retrograde marker, on top of the pink marker. So when you're doing the prograde marker, as I did before, you are basically pulling the yellow marker towards where you're pointing. And when you're doing the retrograde, you're basically pushing the yellow marker away. So that takes a little bit of practice, but it becomes second nature very soon. So, as you can see, and as I'm closing in, I'm reducing my target velocity. So at 500 meters, you don't want to be going higher than 10 meters per second, roughly. So that's also something to take into account if your craft has very low thrust, for example, nukes or something like that. And as you can see, at 500 meters, my relative velocity is 10 or 11, but that's still pretty fast. You want it to be like when you get to 250, you want to drop it to around 5 meters per second to ensure, you know, the smooth approach. There we go. There you go. So, and now at 100 meters per second, when you come really close, you do want to come to a full stop. Means target relative velocity 0.0 meters per second. And I think I'm going to do that around 50 meter mark. It's a small station, so not much to really be worried about. There you go, 1 meter per second. And now I'm closing in. So now it's the time to basically set it to 0 and start the docking procedure. Great. At this point, you have clear visibility of where you want to dock, and that's this guy. So right-click, set as target, and then right-click with the docking port that you want. In this case, I need to open shield, and I need to control from here. It's very important that you select control from here. Now, the same thing as you did before applies. You point your nose toward the pink marker on the nav ball. And then now you start to use RCS thrusters. So you rotate that basically, you want to rotate the craft so that the thrusters are on top, so that it's kind of easy for you to maneuver. And now you start to use translation thrusters, and those are the keys I, K, J, L. And you still want to go target velocity 0.3. You want to see the distance decreasing, and you want to keep the yellow marker on top of the pink marker. So if you push it a little bit up, that means that you will be going up, depending on, you can use your eyes to determine your relative velocity if you're going a little bit up or back. I typically align my camera, but as long as that yellow marker is on top of the pink marker and the target velocity is positive, that means that your two docking ports will essentially collide. Now, if in case you want to be avoiding some other object, like in this case I have the solar panel that's here, what you want to be doing is align the planes. So basically I lower down the nose, and now I'm thrusting to still keep those aligned, but I've puffed the yellow marker a little bit higher up. What will happen is that my craft, as you can see, is going a little bit higher up to avoid this obstacle. So if I continue, I will go higher and above the docking port that I'm aiming for. I'm not yet worried about that we are 100% aligned. I'm just approaching it gently. So now at this level, I want to return that marker back on top of yellow on top of the pink on the nav ball. And now I'm turning off the RCS, and now I'm doing the horizontal alignment. And I'm eyeballing it when it comes to horizontal. But if you look now, the orange, the yellow and the pink marker are no longer aligned. So what I do again, press I, J, K, L until they do align. And then I thrust a little bit back. And by this time you can pretty much eyeball it. Then thrust a little bit back, and the rest is just pure eyeballing. Well, it's a little bit complex tutorial. Like it if you like it. I hope it works for you. Let me know if you have any questions. And do subscribe to the channel if you like the content. And I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Until then, thank you very much for watching. This is GrunfWorks signing off.